We've got an interesting challenge for you this week as it was completely built by the Tableau agent, so built by AI, which is pretty cool. It's a fairly simplistic challenge. I say fairly, it's very simple with what we have to do, so I thought I'd just do it for the first time with you on this recording. Starting from the very beginning, connecting to some data. This is something that often trips me up is if I don't look before, is it an Excel file, is it a text file, but I've done that pre-work to know that it's a text file, and I click on that and it's this dataset that I just downloaded. Okay, and because it's only one table that we can see on the left hand side, then we only get one input step. It gets generated automatically for us, which is great. We've only got these 5 rows of data, these 5 different fields as well. As always, source row number comes through. We're not going to need it for this challenge, so we just ignore that. It comes through by default as a deleted field. We'll just leave that deleted. And then we need to add in our clean step, have a look at our data, and verify that we do have some issues with Jane Smith and John Doe. Very kind of classic fake names. So we do want to remove these duplicates, basically. So if we were to just click on Jane Smith, of course, and exclude, then it would get rid of both rows. So that's not what we want to do. Instead, we need to use this identify duplicate rows functionality. So that's what we'll do initially. Now, this only came out at the start of 2024. So if you don't have a version of Tableau Prep from 2024, then you might not see this functionality, and we'll discuss how we get around that in a second. So we've done that, identify duplicate rows, we can see which rows are unique, and now we have something to filter on, so we can keep only the unique values, and then we have our 3 rows of data that we need for the output, and we don't need this extra field that just tells us they're unique, so we can right click and remove. And it's maybe mildly frustrating that it says 132 now. We can always sort this so that it says 123 just to like visually check that everything looks as it should. That won't be maintained through to the output, but it's helpful sometimes when we're just visually checking things. So then we just output this, and we'd save it as whatever we want to save it as, maybe as a CSV, and we can just, if we want to save it somewhere other than just the default folder, we can do the browse. It brings up our file browser. I can save it back into my downloads, for example, and make sure that I hit run in order for that file to actually appear. And I already had a file in my downloads folder called output. Very naughty. But yes, how would I do this challenge if I didn't have that identify duplicates functionality? I'd use a different type of step. So rather than a clean step, I'd use an aggregate step coming out of that input step. And what I'd do is I would just make sure to drop all 5 of my fields into the grouped fields section. So if I pick up, for example, the first and last name first of all, I just realised how incorrectly named these fields are of this challenge. That's interesting. I never noticed that the AI had named last name the email, whereas first name is the full name. That's funny how you can just be looking at things, only notice the values and not really notice the naming conventions. But that's interesting. So yeah, now that I've brought those through, then I can see that it is dealing with that duplication for me. It is just giving me the unique values for those names. And so I can bring in the address as well as the customer ID and the phone number. So make sure the customer ID doesn't go over to the aggregated fields section because we don't want to sum up their customer ID. We just want to keep them as their unique values. And then don't forget our phone number there as well. And then we could just output this in very much the same way, and it would be exactly the same answer. Interesting how it's sorted our customer ID differently if we group it or if we remove duplicates. Interesting stuff that is happening in the background there. But okay, very simple challenge. Hope you enjoy. I don't think that AI is going to take our jobs of Preppin Data just yet, but hey, it could be well on the way. So thanks very much for watching.